Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome in here in San Antonio, Texas, on the Tiger Network here at Trinity University. This first pitch is in there for called strike one for some Monday evening baseball between Southwestern University, the Pirates coming down from Georgetown, Texas, being hosted here in San Antonio by the DeSales Bulldogs. That one is batted down the left field line, going to end up out of play. So quickly ahead for the Bulldogs. It's the junior right-handed pitcher out there wearing number 20, Frank Perotti. Trying to finish off batter number one for the Pirates. It's Jake Harris standing in there from the left side. 0-2 offering is down the middle, and Perotti nicely fielding his position. 3 pitches and ground out back to the pitcher. Nice start here in San Antonio for the Bulldogs. As Harris goes down, we'll take you through the rest of this Pirates order. Batting in this second spot, it's going to be Cale Cochran, followed by James Vaccaro, who's going to do the duties behind the plate. It's going to be Jacob Tanner, Maxwell Mims, Alexander Kanata, as that one is batted into left center field. And tracking back there, making the catch out in left field is Travis Kerr. So very quickly, 2 down here as Perotti takes his glove off, just bare hands that one. As he's trying to make quick work of this Southwestern offense. Rounding out this offense for the Pirates, it's Trace Organ, Owen Stevens, and Ben Foyer, who will hit in the 9-hole. But for now, James Vaccaro standing in and trying to get a 2-out rally going for the Pirates, and he takes pitch number 1 outside the zone. So Vaccaro standing in. He's played in 8 games this season for the Pirates, Southwestern team that's coming into this one. Saw the record on your screen just a couple of moments ago. That one's batted, also fouled off down the left field line. Perotti in the early going this season. Vaccaro for the Pirates in the early going. Stepped up to the batter's box, registered 30 at-bats in those 8 games, hitting a steady .367 for the Pirates, and continuing to show that he's very, very good in the batter's box, wisely taking that pitch outside. Good awareness of the strike zone to move this one to 3-1 and threatening to reach, unless Parati can find the strike zone, which he does so right there. Home plate umpire signaling the punch out. Correcting himself, just going to send the count to 3-2. Well-located pitch on the outside portion of the plate. But Vaquero with one more strike to work with, now in a full count. That one hanging breaking ball left up. It's bobbled out there at shortstop. Vaquero going to be able to get over there to first. It was a hard hit ball as this breaking ball hangs up in the zone. Vaquero sitting back on it and sending it the other way very sharply, and unable to make the play for the Bulldogs is Andrew McGowan. So one aboard here in the top of the first inning. That'll bring the 4-hole cleanup hitter Jacob Tanner into the batter's box, trying to keep this 2-out rally going for the Pirates. That pitch in there, a little bit of a breaking ball that catches the bottom part of the zone, down and away from Tanner. Tanner, another member of this Pirates offense that's played in 8 games in the early portion of this season. That one is sent to right field, down the foul line. Umpire giving it a look, but that one's going to wind up on the ground. So everyone will retake their positions. Tanner will now work behind the count, down 0-2. Early portion of the year, 8 games played, hitting a steady .360. So the 3- and 4-hole hitters for the Southwestern offense doing their job, and they've helped get the Pirates to a 3-5 record in the early going. That one down in the dirt, and the runner will advance. Vaquero taking advantage of that ball that gets past catcher behind home plate for DeSales. It's Gavin Zavorsky back there. So now all of a sudden, quick 2 outs for the Bulldogs. Has moved to a runner in scoring position, threatening for Southwestern as Tanner takes that breaking ball down and out of the zone. Good pitch from Parati right there. Hit that bottom outside corner just a couple of offerings ago, but can't get Tanner to bite on that one that's low in the dirt. And 2-2 count now. That one swung on. Tanner sending it to short. An easier play for McGowan this time, and he'll corral and send it over to first. Base runner that gets aboard moves into scoring position, but no harm done. Southwestern retired here in the top of the first. We'll be back in just a moment on Tiger Network. The Bulldogs will step up to the plate. Take a moment here in San Antonio to take you through the DeSales Bulldogs offense. Leading things off, it's going to be JT Andorowski that's playing center field today. It's going to be Stranish, Fischel, Kerr, Zavorsky, who had a couple of opportunities in the top of the first behind home plate. It's going to be Saig, Atkins, McGowan, and in the 9-hole for the Bulldogs in this one. John Rorick going to try and flip things over for this offense. They're going to be facing on the mound for Southwestern University, Greg Ferguson, who's made a couple of appearances already for the Pirates this year. You can see his numbers. He has 1 start and 1 save in the early portion of this season. Very good, respectable ERA. Down in the low 2s at the moment. It'll be Andorowski set to start the Bulldogs off in the batter's box here tonight. DeSales, who comes into this one now 4-3 in their very young season, returning to South Texas as Andorowski gives this one a ride into right center field. And it's going to get down in the gap, and it's actually going to bounce up over the wall out in right center field. The new turf here in San Antonio playing much bouncier as that one's going to clear the wall, and Andorowski is going to start things off with a leadoff ground rule double. Andorowski moving very quickly on that one, but the Pirates signaling very early on as he was still en route to second base. That one was over the fence out there as Stranek steps into the box. He'll square around to bunt. Kind of just had that barrel out in front of himself. Left it there as it perhaps caught a piece of his bat. See if he'll offer again this 0-1 count. This time he won't square, takes a healthy hack at that one. So very quickly, Ferguson ahead 0-2. Stranix perhaps just trying to shrink the strike zone a little bit, put himself in a count. And instead, he's now behind with a lead runner on in scoring position for DeSales. That one well up and out of the zone as Ferguson tries to change the eye level right there. That one coming about even with Stranix's eye level. He's able to take it easily. The count will move to 1-2. Ferguson still dealing with that runner out there at second base. For Southwestern over there is Foyer that's trying to hold him on the bag a little bit, keep him honest. Wasn't checking that time as Ferguson delivers something over the plate. Stranix forced to swing the bat. He's able to battle it off. So we'll go again at 1-2. Ferguson's ready. 1-2 delivery outside. Misses in that left-handed batter box. Stranix quickly down 0-2. Has now battled back to even things up in the count. Fought a pitch off in the process. Go at 2-2 now. The runner advancing over to third. That one a little bit up and outside as behind the plate. It's Vaquero. And tried to make the delivery over to Jacob Tanner at third base. Good job from Tanner coming off the bag to keep that one in the infield. Nice job from Andorowski advancing as he was not being held as closely on that offering. He was in there very easily at third base, but very well could have scored had that ball not been kept in the infield. Ferguson on his 3-2 pitch there leaves it up and out of the zone. Very nice at-bat from Jeremy Stranix right there. After falling behind 0-2, able to fight all the way back and earn the free pass. Certainly the presence of the base runner at second, moving over to third in the middle of that at-bat, and taking its toll on Ferguson. So he had the opportunity to record out number one here in the bottom. Instead, the Bulldogs threatening now first and third, no outs as Owen Fischel will step to the plate. He's been very, very good for this Bulldogs offense in the early portion of the year. Hitting now .444 through a full 7 games. Ferguson set that one, put into play. It looked like it might have took a glance off the glove of Ferguson on the mound. It's going to do enough to bring the runner in from third. Andorowski will score. But Ferguson slowing it down, not quite enough, as the Pirates are still able to turn that double play in the infield. Nice defensive effort right there, as that one could have spelled disaster for Southwestern. Instead, Ferguson, I think, very happy to trade 1 run for 2 outs, and he empties the bases in the process. Pumps a fastball in there, down in the zone. It's not handled, but home plate umpire liking the spot anyways as Travis Kerr steps up to the plate. 440 batting average. So the 3- and 4-hole hitters for each of these squads, showing that they have really had it going in the early part of their 2024 campaigns. Ferguson's offering down the middle, grounded to the right side, maybe off the end of the bat a little bit right there, as it is slowly fielded over there at first base by the Pirates. Cleanly getting to it was Alexander Kanata. He takes it over to the bag himself. So what looked to be a big opportunity in the bottom of the first for the Bulldogs is quickly squandered. Ferguson keeping the damage to a minimum. DeSales able to scratch one nonetheless. It'll be Bulldogs 1, Pirates 0 as we move to the second. In between innings, got to look at the numbers in the early portion of the year for Parati as he steps back onto the mound for the Bulldogs. Some inflated numbers in the early going across 2 starts, as this one hit hard into deep left center field. That one also getting down out there, throw in to second base, not going to be in time. It was Maxwell Mims who took that one for a ride out to deep left field. Perhaps a breaking ball that just hung up a little bit in the zone. Mims certainly ready to turn on that one. You can see the flags flying out in dead center field here in San Antonio, blowing in really straight back at that baseball as it had a chance off the bat, but hangs in the park, and Southwestern starts the top of the second, much like DeSales did the bottom of their first. It's going to be Kanata that steps into the box now, trying to drive home a runner and improve his season averages a little bit. 192 right now for this Pirate. But he's ahead now in this count 1-0. That breaking ball hanging up again, catching the outside part of the plate. Parati able to draw even at 1-1 in this at-bat. Coming off of 2 starts, very similar in the early portion of his year. 4 1/3 in the first, and then 4 in his most recent outing as he misses away, moving the count to 2-1. 5 hits and 3 walks surrendered in each of those outings. 5 earned runs in his first of the season. A little bit better last time out, 3. He's trying to avoid one in the early going against Southwestern as he gets a swing and the miss over the top. Very good breaking ball that finishes down in the dirt. And Kanata now 2-2. Mims taking his lead out at second. Parati giving a look back, goes to the breaking ball again, catches a little bit more of the plate. No harm done there for Parati as he had Kanata out in front. Fouls that one down the third base line. We'll do it again at 2-2. Parati sets and delivers to home. That one poked the other way. Again, breaking ball delivery from Parati right there. That one probably a safer offering than the last that hung up over the middle of the plate. But Kanata right now identifying the breaking pitch very well, able to just fight that one off by poking it the opposite direction. That fastball up in the zone. It's going to be grounded to the left side. Fielded. The throw is going to pull the first baseman off the bag. Kanata able to reach safely right there, and in the process of that ball getting away at first, Maxwell Mims is going to advance as well. Fielded cleanly as a third baseman out there for DeSales. Stranix moved over to his left, but perhaps rushed the throw a little bit too much and couldn't get it to Saig over at first. Saig coming off the bag well, but just was unable to glove it. So he maybe had some other intentions in mind trying to apply a tag. Nice safety squeeze is going to get Mims home easily. And what looked to be a very close play at first, it's going to be called out that time. It was Oregon who very nearly beat this one out. We'll see it again. There's a little bit of a shovel right here. A bang play over there at first as Parati was covering very nicely. The Bulldogs able to at least get one down here in the top of the second. Things remaining very similar to what we saw in the bottom of the first. Trading a run for an out right there. That pitch up and in on the hands of Stevenson, who just can't quite catch up to it. Moves the count ahead to 0-2. Parati moves another runner over to second. It's Kanata there at the moment. Stevenson sees that pitch in the same spot, this time able to get his hands on it just enough to foul it back into the netting behind home plate. Staying alive in this 0-2 count and continuing to try and do a job of at least moving Kanata over. Hanging breaking ball that time. Things slowed down from Parati appropriately on the mound. He went hard up and in with a couple of consecutive pitches to Stevenson. Just took enough off of that one. Have Stevenson way ahead out front. And back-to-back half innings where each of these squads have threatened with runners on base. With each of these pitchers responding nicely. Now it's Parati's turn with the opportunity to get out of things and limit his opponent to just one run. It's Foyer in the 9 spot, stepping up to the plate for Southwestern. Took that first pitch down and out of the zone. That one also missing in the other batter's box. Quickly ahead, 2-0. Parati and DeSales, as we mentioned, come into this one at 4-3, returning to South Texas most recently yesterday, coming off a loss to Texas Lutheran University as this one's put in play over at second base. It's fielded cleanly. That time it's Rorik who gloves it, makes the throw on over to first, and DeSales keeping damage to a minimum, but the Pirates answering there in the top half of the second inning to draw us even at 1 apiece. Welcome you back now in the bottom of the second as DeSales playing as the home team here in San Antonio, Texas. Ferguson pumping that one across the plate. Fastball right there for the long righty. It's worked very well in the early going. Not sure if I introduced myself at the top of this broadcast. We got going rather quickly as that one's grounded out there to second base and on to first to record out number 1. Give us the chance to do so now. My name's Luke Terry, and joined by Cole Isaacson, fresh out of class, ready to talk some baseball tonight. Cole, how's it going?
It's going good. It's midterm season, so important to be in class. School comes first, but happy to have some extra baseball. Always good to have a neutral game here in San Antonio.
Yeah, some teams that we're used to seeing in San Antonio. DeSales back down in South Texas, making their annual spring trip. And Southwestern, of course, an SCAC opponent for the host Trinity Tigers. So a team that we'll have the chance to see again in a couple of weekends as conference play gets kicked off. That one fouled back out of play, drawing this count even at 1-1. Ferguson on the mound for the Pirates. Outside of that ground rule double, start the bottom of the second has been very impressive. Got out of a little bit of a jam unscathed. Continuing to show why his numbers are as good as they have been in the early portion of the year. Now operating in a 2-1 count. Nice breaking ball that induces a half swing right there. Home plate umpire will say that he did go around. This one started really over the heart of the plate and great vertical drop to that back foot.
Yeah, I wonder what the measurement would be on that.
Here on Tiger Network, we're coming off of a Saturday game this weekend where Trinity's very own Jackson Tier struck out 20, and he made some opposing hitters look a little ridiculous with breaking balls much like that one. We talked, we might be in need of a pitch overlay. Ferguson, another offering right there with some nice movement. Bulldog at the plate at the moment. Jack Saig able to fight a couple in a row off. As Ferguson's going to step out of our picture, we'll have a little bit of a longer delay as he gets everything set. Saig maybe fouling that one off of himself.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Really impressive that he even got a piece of that, though. That was a very sharp break.
Ferguson sets, delivers home. That one catching Saig looking. A fantastic mix from the righty on the mound, and Saig just has to hold that bat and walk back to the dugout with it.
I mean, what are you supposed to do there? You have a breaking ball that's, I don't know what the measurement is, but it's obviously impressive just by looking at it, and then you have to deal with something down the middle like that. Just the varying speeds enough to screw up any hitter.
Akins sees another one of those breaking balls. Ferguson dropping that one in nicely. Maybe a little bit sharper than the other ones that we've seen to lead off this at bat, but you're right, Cole. I think when you look at it, you see a pitch with that much vertical break, it takes a little bit of a velocity off of it and then comes back. Long righty that's just whipping it around right now. That fastball does have significant velocity, so a tough two-pitch mix that Ferguson's working with right now in a 1-1 count. He gets Akins to swing through that one. So continuing to respond very well and just one strike away from getting out of the bottom of the second. Akins ready in the box, and he'll watch that one wide of the mark, down and away. Ferguson misses, so we'll now move to 2-2.
We'll see what adjustments these DeSales hitters make. I mean, you're going to have to start seeing these pitches out of the hand. You can't keep guessing what's coming.
Ferguson readies again, sets, leaves that one down in the zone. Fastball that misses just a little bit low of the mark. You're right, adjustments certainly will need to be made. Realistically, for this DeSales offense, they came out and they jumped on an early pitch. It was very early in the at-bat. Was sent out to right center field and hopped over the wall as Ferguson goes again. Breaking ball. At that time, Akins is able to recognize and foul off the other way. Largely, though, in these deeper at-bats, I'd say that the DeSales hitters haven't fared quite as well. Ferguson able to work ahead and gain advantage because of it. He sets. Another 3-2 delivery, that time sent the other way, a hard hit ball that's going to find its way down in right. Akins battles back very well right there.
When you have a pitcher with stuff like this, what you need to do is stay alive, see more pitches. And the more pitches you see, the better that you're going to be able to understand what's coming at you. And I think that's what you saw there, just fouling off two pitches, extending the at-bat. You just understand who you're facing that much more.
Yeah, he saw a couple of breaking balls that weren't really over the heart of the plate, maybe on the edge of the zone, forced him to swing the bat and battle him off, but he did exactly that. And then Ferguson throws a heater over the middle of the plate. Akins doing a very nice job of getting that foot down, and he sends it hard the other way. Just a good job of using the entire field. He'll check over there at first. Back easily is Akins. Batter at the plate now, it's Andrew McGowan standing in at the 8th spot, ahead in this one, 1-0. A little bit of a half-hearted swing that time as the heater on the outside portion of the plate was recognized a little bit too late. Couldn't get his hand started soon enough, and the bat didn't get all the way around right there. Ferguson, another delivery, that one on the inner half of the plate. His runner was moving on that one, perhaps a hit and run, but adjustment certainly made in the batter's box. The hands were going a lot sooner there, to the point that time around McGowan out in front of that fastball.
Yeah, almost an overcorrection there. I think he figured it was coming, got a little excited on top of it.
Now Ferguson moves ahead to 1-2. So again, just a strike away from getting out of this inning, and he does so. Another very nice breaking ball that has the hitter well out in front. Ferguson throwing that fastball a pitch ago, perhaps recognizing McGowan way ahead of it, takes even a little bit more off, and he induces the swing of miss to send us back to the top half of an inning. It'll be the top of the third when we return in San Antonio. Set to go here again in San Antonio. As Parati puts that fastball over the middle of the plate and trying to take advantage of it that time. Southwestern unable to do so. One pitch, one out as that one skied to straightaway center field.
You know, he saw a pitch he liked, but at the same time, when you have a starting pitcher in the game, you want to work the count a little bit, extend those at-bats. You want him out of the game and into the bullpen as soon as possible.
Yeah, Parati still sitting right around the 30-pitch mark. As Cale Cochran steps up to the plate, he watches that one in there for strike one. Southwestern working their way through the order now for the second time. It was Jake Harris who skied one to center field just a couple of pitches ago. Cochran now down 0-2. It's a couple of pitches on the outside part of the plate. Home plate umpire signaling to us very early on that he's going to give that one pretty consistently, as we've seen that already in the early going. Parati readies, delivers, and a nice breaking ball right there. 3 pitches to Cochran, 4 pitches in the inning, and Parati very quickly trying to put the Bulldogs back in the dugout. Nice breaking ball right there. That's Cochran just out ahead.
You know, it's interesting. I think the ball ended up in about the same spot. It's just the path that it takes, that speed, and making the difference and getting the batter to strike out.
Vaquero now back up to the plate, watches that first pitch low. You think about that last at-bat, 2 strikes on the outside part of the plate. I think at worst, Cochran recognizing that's where that one was going to finish up, perhaps forcing him to pick up the bat off of his shoulder just a little bit more than he would typically like to. Vaquero recognizing a couple of pitches down out of the zone. That one a much closer offering from Parati that time. And just the subtlest vertical break on it. But Vaquero able to leave it alone. Sees that one more at about a belt high level, the outside part of the plate, and he fouls it off down the third base line.
You know, it's interesting. You're seeing those 2 different situations. The batter before falls behind 0-2. Now in a 2-1 count, he can pick and choose the pitch that he wants to swing at.
Certainly had the opportunity to pick and choose right there, and choosing not to swing as that one gets all the way to the backstop. See it come back. Hard ricochet, the brick wall here in San Antonio. That teams that we typically call are still getting used to. Certainly a feature of the ballpark here in Trinity in addition to the turf, as that one scalded over to first base, but no problem over there. It's Jack Saig who's able to field it cleanly. He will again take that one himself, and DeSales and Parati able to get through the top half of the third. Nice response, bouncing back after giving one up in the top of the second. The Bulldogs will have the opportunity now to pull back ahead. John Rorick hitting in the 9 spot for the Bulldogs, who will lead off here in the bottom of the third, trying to turn the lineup over for DeSales with a runner on base. He's going to have a little bit of a steeper hill to climb now. Another fastball down and away, spotted by Ferguson. The home plate umpire likes it again, so it's an 0-1 count. So we pay offering number 2. Rorik swinging the bat that time, fouling one off, but falls further behind this count, now 0-2 in favor of Ferguson.
And once again, you're seeing that 0-2 situation, just allowing Ferguson to get more and more comfortable.
It's Vaquero behind home plate, who is signaling for the call again. They're finally ready as that pitch is up out of the zone. Already in the early going here, we've seen a couple of tries for the fastball high, just significantly too high as that one comes in at the head of Rorik. Ferguson will go again, undeterred, still ahead in this count, 1-2. Leaves that breaking ball on the outside part of the plate, and it'll miss just wide.
Looks like he's trying to test the boundaries of the strike zone. He's been getting that outside call all game, seeing how far it'll go.
Yeah, a couple of pitches to waste in that situation. Still even here. 2-2 down low. Spiked that fastball. It moves the count to 3-2.
Good patience from DeSales offensively. Tough being in an 0-2 hole, but the patience, that mindset going up to the plate, you don't have to swing at everything. Now in a 3-2 count.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple of times here. Rorik, for a second time, will fight all the way back as the Bulldogs will have the leadoff runner here in the bottom of the third. It was down 0-2 in that count. Saw 4 consecutive balls, and he will reach to turn the lineup over. It'll be JT Andorowski stepping back up to the plate for the Bulldogs, trying to get the offense going again.
That's huge when your 9-hole hitter can set the table like that. And based on Ferguson throwing the first, I'm assuming there's some speed on first base right now.
We'll see if that is in fact the case. Ferguson steps back onto the mound, ready to deliver to Andorowski. Vaquero squaring around, almost being forced to throw the ball down to second base. Maybe a bluff over there at first. Rorik, the runner there. 1 for 1 in the early going this year in stolen base attempts. So we see if he does decide to go. Swinging the miss over the top of that one. Ferguson again taking something off of it. Another breaking ball that had Andorowski out in front and evens this count at 1-1. The 1-1 count. Instead, we'll have a delivery over to first base. Trying to keep Rorik honest over there. Keep a runner out of scoring position. Still nobody out here in the bottom of the third.
2 pitches ago, it looked like Rorik was going. Ended up changing his mind when he was about third of the way there.
Another nice delivery from Ferguson right there. Down and away to Andorowski, and it had a little bit of tail on top of that. Some nice break arm side, moving further away from the bat of the left-handed hitter. Ferguson squaring, delivering home. Andorowski able to put this one into play. He'll give it a ride out to left center field. That one's going to get down. Racing around the bags. Rorik's being sent home. Andorowski will stay at second, but Rorik able to score easily, and the Bulldogs do pull out ahead yet again.
We talk about the speed being put on first base. He doesn't end up stealing, but able to go first to home. Reads it really well. Good base running overall, and DeSales takes the lead.
Yeah, a little bit of an overcast day here in San Antonio, and last time we had one of those, I think the ball was a little bit hard to read, especially for those on the base paths. Saw some people freeze, but you're right, Rorik recognizing that one was getting down all the way. Difficult to score first to home, especially when there's nobody out in the inning, but he was certainly motoring. Have to give props. Also the guy with the bat in his hands, JT Andorowski, seeing a pitch up in the zone, able to go up there, get enough of the barrel on it to put one down in the left center field gap. It's Andorowski now at second base. Ferguson will check over there. Andorowski back with plenty of time as the Bulldogs trying to extend their lead even further. It's Jeremy Stranix who's back in the box. The freshman who's playing at third base for DeSales today is behind in this count 0-1. Make that 0-2 as another nice pitch from Ferguson. Has Stranix out in front of it.
Going back to that earlier situation, you have the 9-hole hitter setting up your leadoff man who's already 1 for 1. Just a perfect situation for DeSales, and they capitalize. Inning's still not over, though.
Ferguson trying to notch that first out on the scoreboard. Goes back to that breaking ball, a similar spot, just a little bit further off the plate. Very competitive miss right there.
And you got to wonder how much of this is DeSales seeing him for the second time. Second time through, you just see the difference in the spin, see it out of the hand better. Looks like it's yielding better results.
We'll see if it'll yield good results for Stranix right here. Still behind 1-2. And he swings over the top of it. Runner advances anyways. Andorowski off and going on that one. Pirates able to punch the first out here in the bottom of the third. But the Bulldogs move one 90 feet closer, 90 feet within scoring position now.
And now sac fly possibility available with only 1 down. They can extend this lead by 1 more.
One official exactly who you would want up to the plate in this spot. It's been electric in the early going. Certainly trigger happy right there. Well out in front of a breaking ball that finishes nearly in the dirt. Still just 1 out. Pitches like that. Vaquero behind the plate. Going to have to do a good job of keeping everything in front. Couple of consecutive breaking pitches right there. Now Ferguson out ahead 0-2. Official unable to slow himself down significantly enough. Did so to at least get barrel on the baseball, but still sent it towards the first base line.
He's just got to think about getting the ball in the air here. Put it in the outfield, score a run.
Official sped up that time. Ferguson back-to-back breaking balls down in the zone. Official tried to slow himself down just a pitch ago. He fouled it off. Ferguson, recognizing that, goes straight back to the fastball up in the zone.
Yeah, it's just a good pitch mix. Pitcher and catcher working well together. Gets 2 outs, eliminates sacrifice fly possibility.
Ferguson now trying to escape the inning. Jumping ahead in this count 0-1. Breaking ball continues to work very well as Travis Kerr steps back into the box. It's the senior playing in left field today. We'll see offering number 2. Another breaking ball. That one left up over the heart of the plate. Kerr swings and misses at it. So now down 0-2.
That was a hanger to a cleanup hitter. That could have gone a lot worse for Ferguson.
Now all of a sudden, 1 pitch away from getting out of this one, and he does so. That one called third strike, another hanging breaking ball. Kerr just watches it that time. Having a lengthy conversation with home plate umpires. He thought that one was up and out of the zone. Instead, he'll be out of the batter's box, back into the dugout as the Pirates get out of a little bit of jam right there. Bulldogs had runners on, were able to scratch at least 1 here, but could have been a much larger inning. So we'll head now to the top of the 4th in San Antonio. It'll be Jacob Tanner leading it off for the Pirates. Plate appearance number 2 of the evening. He grounded out to shortstop his last time up, and he watches strike number 1. As that one hits again, that outside corner down and away from these right-handed hitters. Very popular tonight. Same spot right there, or at least very similar. A near miss, as perhaps wasn't framed quite as well. Zavorsky behind home plate, who perhaps wanted that one in a different spot. 1-1 count. As Parati, some movement on that one. Tail into the right-handed Tanner at the plate. Can't get the call that time and falls behind 2-1. Parati sets, delivers home. Fastball right down the heart of the plate. Tanner just a little bit behind on it. Fouls it off that right field line and moves the count ahead to 2-2.
That's a good time for a challenge pitch. Worked outside, outside, inside. Go down the middle, probably not something you're expecting in that situation.
Forced Tanner to swing the bat, and he does so again right there. That one with some really nice tail in on his hands. And you're right, challenge pitch down the middle. Another enticing, what looked like fastball, maybe a different variety as this one ran inside on him. That one also up in the zone. Tanner not able to catch up to it. So DeSales answering right here as Maxwell Mims steps up to the plate, able to scratch one in the bottom half of the last inning. That one skied out to left field. It's going to be caught easily. Camping under it that time, it was Travis Kerr, who ended the bottom half of the inning, but maybe makes up for it a little bit right there as Mims was trying to jump on one and just skied it out to left.
Yeah, this is a tough sky today. Overcast, tough to see the baseball, especially when it's hit in between two fielders like that. Good communication. Ultimately get what should be an easy out, but not always in these conditions.
Alexander Kanata stepping back up to the plate for the Pirates. That one off the end of the bat, softly hit over to second. But it's going to be no issue for the Bulldogs. Rorick fielding that one, getting it on over to first base. Saig will be part of that putout. It's a quick 1-2-3 inning for Parati and the Bulldogs as we keep things turning in South Texas. It's been a couple of blank innings for the Southwestern offense. DeSales doing a nice job of hanging zeros on the board. It'll be Ferguson who's tasked with keeping things right where they're at. We'll start off the bottom of the fourth with a breaking ball that's grounded very softly, charging and making a nice play from third base. It's Tanner cutting that one off, as it really had no chance of getting all the way out to Foyer at shortstop. Cuts that one off, and he makes a strong throw across the diamond to record out number 1.
No, that's just a really good play. It's important to be aggressive as an infielder at times, and that was one of those situations where you got to go hard for that baseball. You're not going to get the out.
That one in there for strike number 1. It's going to be Saig stepping back into the batter's box, trying to get something going for the DeSales offense. It's lifted down the right field line. That one looks like it's getting out of play. Saig retraces his steps right now, headed back to the batter's box. To imagine that one's down in foul territory. Just couldn't quite see it from our angle.
For those of you who don't know, we're not actually at the field. We do these broadcasts from a room. We have some screens available to us, and that was out of our frame. So the fact that he's back in the batter's box tells you that Luke correctly assumed what happened.
Ferguson, again, testing eye level, tries to change that one up. It's a constant test of our spatial awareness, Cole.
Yeah, pretty much. And then the awareness of the game, like seeing him go back, that's usually our cue, right? And just more challenges.
Ferguson jumping ahead again, 0-2 in this at-bat. Saig laying off a couple of consecutive, driving it to 2-2. Ferguson, who's already lost a couple of hitters after getting ahead 0-2, trying to avoid the same right here. And he does that. Drops another breaking ball in there, and he has Saig frozen in the batter's box. He goes down, a strikeout looking.
You know, every pitcher has to have what I would call a safety pitch. Other people would call an out pitch, which when you need this out, you need this strikeout here. What pitch are you going to? And it seems like his breaking ball, his curveball is what it looks like, is going to be that pitch.
Wasn't messing around at all that last time as he comes right back with that breaker. This time drops out of the zone. He has Aiken swinging over the top of it. Saw him trying to be maybe a little too cute in some of those at-bats that he was ahead 0-2 previously, trying to spot right around the edge. He got hit when he went with the fastball down the middle. Instead, goes to that breaking ball down the middle. These hitters have seen it in various spots. They've seen it left in on the hands. They've seen it drop out of the zone. I think anticipating that it finishes somewhere else. Instead, it was right down the heart and resulted in that strikeout for out number 2 here in the bottom of the 4th. Aiken's seeing that one down. Caro behind home plate, being a backstop with 2 outs. Trying to keep everything in front of him at the moment, but Ferguson trying to get the job done. And he does so. Continuing to deal on the mound. Ferguson with another strikeout. Make that now 7 on his evening. Pirates and the Bulldogs entering a little bit of a pitcher's battle. These two keeping things right where they're at. It'll be 2-1 as we head back to the top half. It'll be the 5th here in San Antonio when we return. Bottom half of the 4th, Ferguson held up his end of the bargain, kept this one at a 2-1 ball game. It's going to be Trace Organ stepping back up to the plate for the Pirates, trying to get the offense rejuvenated. Scored one early in the top of the 2nd inning, held scoreless in the last 2 innings as Parati has continued to deal for DeSales. Making some steady improvements on his numbers this season. Mentioned his 2 previous starts got hit a little bit, but he's responded nicely here today, getting helped out by the defense behind him. But only half of that play made as the ball not secured over there at first base. It's a sharply hit grounder. It was fielded cleanly by Stranix at first, but the long throw across the diamond couldn't get there, and Saig unable to make the pick.
Yeah, you can blame Luke Terry on that one, the announcer's jinx. At full force there, saying he was helped out by his defense and then immediately muffing a ground ball like that.
Typically the jinx comes rather quickly, and I have said previously that I don't think I have enacted it so fast. That one was real time.
Yeah, that was light speed. That was pretty unbelievable.
Parati back on the mound very quickly, trying to make up for the error behind him. Breaking ball that gets dropped in there to get ahead in this count 0-1. Southwestern looks like they have a pinch hitter at the plate now. It's number 33, Owen Stevenson. Perhaps I'm wrong, just not looking closely enough at my order. It is Stevenson who's 0-for-1 on the day, trying to continue this inning after Parati checked over at first base. It was Organ who reached, playing in the middle of the infield. Imagine he has a little bit of speed on the base paths as Pirates are trying to get this offense going. Stevenson out ahead of that one and very quickly behind 0-2.
You know, this is the type of thing you need to take advantage of if you're Southwestern. It's been an offense all year that's been a little inconsistent. They come in having dropped their last 5. And you have a pitcher that's really working on your side.
Stevenson swinging over the top of that one. There's a pitcher that's working on the other side. Parati with a couple of really pretty breaking balls in this at-bat. That one starting in the zone, breaking out just underneath it. Stevenson forced to pick up the bat, but couldn't fight that one off. Ben Foyer stepping into the box, the 9-hole hitter for Southwestern, trying to turn things over with just one out. There's another check over at first base. Oregon able to sneak in there cleanly, but a very good move by Parati.
Looks like they didn't have any plays with Oregon at first base last at-bat. We'll see if that changes.
And a hit and run on right there, dialed up perfectly. This was the second baseman that was moving over right here, covering for the Bulldogs. And Foyer just doing his job, getting his hands up and around on that one. He rolls over the top of it pretty hard, but it doesn't matter when you execute the play like the Pirates just did. Runner advancing all the way to third. So now big threat for Southwestern as Jake Harris steps into the bat. Leadoff hitter takes strike number 1.
You know, Luke, I think there's announcer jinx and then the announcer inspiration. As I say, they're running a play. There it goes. But that's exactly what they needed to do in this situation. They've been struggling to plate runs lately. You have a guy on first like that, you got to bring him over somehow.
Harris quickly down 0-2, sees that one on the outside half of the plate after laying off one in on his hands. Decided to go on it, but just couldn't keep it fair. Now he'll be in a battle in this 0-2 count as Parati working with runners on first and third. That one driven into right field. It's going to get down. The run will score from third very easily. An 0-2 count. That breaking ball looked like it was left up and catches way too much of the plate.
Yeah, we saw somebody get away with this a little earlier. Not this time. Southwestern able to tie the game. And what a relief that's got to be for Ferguson on the other side, pitching such a good game, now not facing a deficit anymore.
Yeah, and the run support may not stop there. Parati will try and limit the bleeding. Could very well have 2 outs on the board and maybe still be in a 2-1 ball game. Go back to that error that was made to open up the visiting half of the 5th. But he's been relatively unfazed, continuing to work ahead in these at-bats. Just happened to make that mistake in that last delivery, but 2 very strong deliveries. Starting off right here, he works back ahead 0-2. Cochran will try and change that. He's fallen behind here, but tries to keep the bats hot for Southwestern. He's 0 for 2 on the evening. He K'd his last time up for flying out. Right now it's Foyer out there at second and Harris at first base for the Pirates. Some base paths filled with speed, but not going to be able to show it off right there as Cochran swinging through that fastball on the outside part of the plate. Continuing on both sides, strong pitching performances and really strong pitch mixes.
Yeah, Parati needed that one. Back-to-back base runners allowed. Now in a tie ball game, runner in scoring position. Got to get it to 2 outs, can finish the inning off here.
Vaquero will try and spoil the party. Lays off another pitch down below the zone. It's not been a spot to go to if you want to induce swing and misses from Vaquero. He's laid off pretty much everything below the strike zone today, and he sees that one down to move ahead in this count 1-0. He waits offering number 2. Delivery in there, and it's sent down the left field foul line. They'll give chase just momentarily and recognize it's much too far to play.
If I'm Parati, I'm looking for something that the hitter can roll over on. Just get weak contact, get a ground ball, end the inning that way. You don't have to strike him out here. Just put it in play, but just not a hit.
We'll see what Parati goes with. 1-1 count. It'll be a pitch up and away. Loses that one arm side, well out of the zone. An easy take for Vaquero right there to jump back ahead in this count. Fourth offering here. Another one down through the legs of the catcher. That one will get to the backstop. Fastball that was just spiked by Parati right there. And doing everything he could behind the plate was Gavin Zavorsky. Just couldn't get down to field that one cleanly. Really have to lead with the glove right there. Maybe anticipating a high bounce off this turf in San Antonio. Instead, it just squeaks through. That one over the heart of the plate to Vaquero. He gets a nice piece of it. That one looks like it's down out there in center. It'll plate 2. 2 outs. The outfielders playing pretty straight up here in San Antonio. Vaquero hits that one. You'll see it tail and get down just ahead of the center fielder. Andorowski breaking in hard on that one, but with the wind blowing the way it is, really keeping things in the ballpark here in San Antonio, he had no chance to get to it.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be caught the whole way. Able to just die at the end, and that's exactly the break that Southwestern needed.
Yeah, big 3 spot here in the top of the 5th after Parati was really motoring along. Both of these pitchers operating very effectively as things will continue to unravel. That one sent down the line in left field. A good job getting over to cut it off quickly. Kerr is there, and he'll get it back to the infield to keep runners at first and second. But another breaking ball, it looks like. See that one hang up a couple of pitches ago. But Parati going back to it just a little bit too much, a little too frequently. And recognizing it at the plate. Tanner sitting back on that one, depositing it in left field, as we'll have a conference at the mound.
I think you have to wonder how much of this is just them seeing him for the 3rd time. So dominant early. Now the Pirates just seeing what's coming a little better, getting the barrel on the ball. Just things changing here in San Antonio.
You see Vaquero and Tanner out there occupying second and first base for the Pirates. As this talk continues, feels like Parati is going to remain out there on the mound. Things disperse, and it is number 20 out there for the Bulldogs. He will remain. No changes at the moment, but perhaps buying a little bit of time for the bullpens. Maxwell Mims and the heart of the order for the Southwestern Pirates still due up right now. The 5-hole hitter playing center field, stepping up to the plate, trying to continue this big inning. Another breaking ball that, again, catches a lot of the plate. It's fought off this time. I think you might be onto something, Cole. First couple times up, I think maybe a bit of unfamiliarity from these Southwestern hitters. The offerings haven't changed all that much, still continuing to throw that breaking ball as he does right there. But the Pirates laying off a little more effectively and maybe recognizing it a little bit earlier when they are hung over the middle of the plate.
Yeah, I think that last pitch is a great example. It looks like it's coming in right down the middle, tails off at the end, but they just see it early.
Parati goes to the fastball, doesn't have the release point on that delivery, misses that one down in the zone. So he's fallen behind here 2-1 after working so effectively through the first 4 innings. Struggling a little bit against very patient Southwestern hitters. That one turned on by Mims. Gets that off his hands as it was inside. Parati trying to speed him up just a little bit right there. In the process, the count does move ahead to 2-2.
I think that's what you need to do here. Make them fall for that breaking ball again by speeding up their processing.
See if Parati can do so. That one again pulled down the line in left field. It'll stay fair. Kerr cutting it off. Again, keeping the runners at first and second, but motoring around from second was Vaquero right here. 2 outs down in the inning. He was going on this one all the way.
And that's tough. You get the batter to 2 strikes, 2 down in the inning, and so many opportunities for DeSales to get out of this inning before this crooked number was put up. But now here you are down 3.
Things continue now, stepping back into the batter's box. It's going to be Alex Kanata trying to keep things moving along as Parati will remain on the mound for DeSales. Misses low and away with that first delivery. Kanata reached on an error in the first and grounded to second his last time up. Trying to register his first hit here. What is a pretty nice Monday evening in San Antonio. Overcast skies, but still pretty fair weather. Pirates trying to right their ship. You mentioned it, Cole. 5 consecutive losses. But things turning around. 5 innings, 5 runs, a pretty good sign.
Yeah, it's an offense that's only batting .256 on the year. That's 234th in Division III baseball. Today's going to help that.
Parati trying to help it a little bit more. That one he's well out in front of. Able to get just a piece to fight it off towards the backstop. You'll see another 1-2 offering. Parati again ahead in this at-bat, trying to finish off the inning. As we'll see his 1-2 pitch here to Kanata. Kanata able to get a piece of that one, sends it to the hole, and it's knocked down there, but it will not warrant any play. McGowan able to get there and field it cleanly, but it was going to be a very tough throw all the way across the infield, trying to pick himself up off this turf, and he does probably the wise thing and eats it.
Yeah, no point in risking an errant throw there. Just eat it, except that the bases are going to be loaded, and it looks like we're going to have another conference.
This one more than likely will result in a pitching change. With that being said, we will take a quick break here on the campus of Trinity University in San Antonio, Texas, and we'll be back to continue the top half of the 5th in just a moment. Kyle Hart seems mostly satisfied as he tucks his jersey back in and readies his laces. He's checking into his second game of the season. See his numbers, just 1 appearance, 1 1/3 pitched, 4 strikeouts. Pretty impressive in the early going, but he's tasked with a hearty jam at the moment. Bases loaded for the Southwestern University Pirates. He draws even in the count 1-1, and he's tasked with trying to find that final out against Trace Oregon.
Remember, Oregon was the guy who started this rally for Southwestern.
Oregon sends that one out to short, and things are going to continue. Moving from bad to worse at the moment. It looked like a pretty easy play for McGowan at shortstop. This a bouncing ball in the middle of the infield. He had an easy play right next to him at second. Perhaps that's what his thought was. He overruns it just a little bit. He leaves that one behind him for things to continue here for Southwestern.
Yeah, it looks like that was the idea. He was going to go the short way for the force out. But you wonder how much of that is, I don't know if DeSales plays on turf or not, but how much of it are you used to those bounces?
Stevenson gives that one a ride, but it's going to wind up down the line foul. Heard some shouts from out at the field. Looked like Stevenson got a lot of that one. A moonshot that he just couldn't keep on the right side of that third base foul line.
Yeah, not quite the cannonball they were hoping for.
Yeah, and after very narrowly missing this one, could have easily moved this one to a wide open lead for the Pirates. He falls behind 0-2 as Hart pulls off of one himself. Misses in that opposite batter's box. A nice job behind home plate right there. Zavorsky keeping that one in front of him. Still no damage done as it's 1-2, and Hart will have a big advantage in this at-bat. That breaking ball left down and in, and Stevenson watches a couple of pitches now to draw even.
Yeah, I want to go back to that previous pitch because that was an incredible play by Zavorsky behind the dish, because that is the difference between another run scoring or potentially getting out of this inning.
Hart will get out of this inning. Induces the swing and miss right there with a breaking ball that Stevenson just couldn't hold his hands up on. Very enticing pitch got him to start, and that barrel broke the plane. So with that, strike 3 called. Home plate umpire ruling that he did, in fact, going around. See a replay of it right there. Pretty close, but benefit of the doubt going the way of the Bulldogs, as now they'll face a very steep hill trying to climb back, now down 6-2.
Welcome back to San Antonio, Texas. Bottom of the 5th between DeSales and Southwestern as Ferguson pumps in strike 1. Southwestern opening a 4-run lead due to a 5-run inning. Now Ferguson working with a lead. That's hit to right. And it gets down for a single. A good start for DeSales, who needs to claw back into this game. See that pitch with some movement towards the inside of the plate, but able to find the hole. DeSales going to try and chip away at this deficit. And there's strike one. Bulldogs come into this game 4-3. Losers of their last two, most recently to TLU, conference rival of Southwestern. And they'll check on at first. DeSales continuing the chip away.
And it looks like their job may be getting a little easier right there. Is that one an opportunity for two? Ferguson fielding it pretty cleanly, but I believe pulling off his throw to second base, and it pulled the shortstop off. Yeah, it looks like you can see the ball bounce back behind the bag as it's ultimately Trace Organ that goes over to corral it. So that one getting away from Foyer there, and instead the Bulldogs responding here in the bottom of the inning. 2 runners on, nobody out.
You think about how much that changes the situation. Could have been 2. Ferguson, very aware, goes for the lead runner in that situation. But now it looks like they're going to try and bunt him over and put 2 in scoring position.
Andorowski this time will not square around to bunt. I think I like the idea of him squaring around to apply the pressure, shrink the strike zone on that first one, but I'm not sure how much I like the idea of actually taking the bat out of your number 1 hole hitter's hands, especially when you're still down by 4.
Yeah, can't really sacrifice in this situation. You need all those outs.
Andorowski will lay off that one as well. Again, not squaring around. So strategy changing a little bit, and it is paying off. Now ahead in this one, 2-1.
Think about the fielding errors in this game. DeSales getting one of those breaks that Southwestern got in the last inning. Time to tie this game.
Ferguson delivering that one, a breaking ball. Catches the bottom part of the plate and induces a swing. Andorowski able to foul that one off. Fights it towards the Southwestern dugout. Just a slow dribbler, and he'll now have the opportunity to swing it in a 2-2 count. As Ferguson sets, and he delivers. Another similar pitch, breaking ball down in the zone. That one a little bit further, but still Andorowski not quite comfortable with it, fighting it off as it was headed towards his back foot.
Yeah, just keep staying alive, extend this at bat, wait for the pitch you want, and then put your team back in this game.
Ferguson trying to avoid that and keep things where they're at. He does so right there. Another breaking ball. This one, he leaves it with a little bit more vertical drop. Doesn't run in on the hands of Andorowski, and it does, for that reason, induce the swing and miss out over the middle of the plate.
And it's important to have those little wrinkles because this is the 3rd time through. We saw the damage that Southwestern did on that 3rd trip. Having those little wrinkles, that's the difference between going deeper into ball games and then getting pulled, like you saw with DeSales.
Stranix will step back into the box. He watches breaking ball number 1 with that same horizontal break that we saw a couple offerings ago travel into the other batter's box. So he moves ahead in the count 1-0 early. Fastball pumped down the middle. He can't quite catch up to it. He fouls it off the other direction. Feels like the bulk of past 2 innings or so from Ferguson, the bulk of his offerings have been breaking balls, switching it up that time with a fastball, and Stranix wasn't quite ready for it. Breaking ball that time, he was a little bit more prepared for, but still sending it down the opposite direction. He's been behind just a little bit on the last 2 pitches. Sounded like he got a better piece of that one.
Yeah, more prepared, not prepared enough. That was a good pitch for DeSales to do some damage. Now they have to deal with a 2-strike count.
Ferguson spiking that one pretty aggressively far out in front of home plate. Vaquero doing a nice job behind the dish, staying down on that one. Already seen one wind up between the legs of Zavorsky from DeSales. Some awkward bounces off the turf here in San Antonio, but Vaquero not allowing these runners to advance those 90 feet. Ferguson 2-2, puts another breaking ball over the plate. That time maybe another over adjustment. Talked about it earlier in the game. That one fouled off the other direction.
Either way, important to stay alive, keep fouling off pitches. You got to frustrate Ferguson, and when you're a pitcher, you get into a 2-strike count. You want to finish this off as quickly as possible.
Ferguson trying to do so, but that one will get away. Vaquero getting down, but it takes a bounce, a deflection off his chest towards the first base line. Easy job on the base paths for McGowan and Rorick to each advance 90 feet, and that's exactly what they do.
That's just a really tough break. You're going to see it here on the replay. He gets in front of it, but it just angles off his chest. Not even to the backstop. Here in San Antonio, you have an opportunity to make a play off that backstop.
Ferguson making up for it a little bit right here as this 3-2 offering spotted down and away. Upon seeing the replay, I'm not so sure. Vaquero helping his pitcher out pretty significantly right there. He brings that one back up to the zone. That one certainly a call that's going to benefit the Pirates. With that pass ball, another one here getting all the way back to Vaquero. There's the ricochet we're talking about. Now in a rundown, the Pirates going to get out of it, as Ferguson will get that back at home plate, and he'll toss it high in the air onto the mound. Official watches this one behind his legs, and that brick playing a pretty substantial factor here in San Antonio, Cole.
Yeah, just as we bring it up, you see what can happen with that brick in the turf, the combination of allowing that ball to really run off the bounce, off the hard wall. And it's hard to blame the runner on third base there. It gets away that far. You think it's a pretty easy trip to home plate, but not the case here at Trinity University.
Yeah, and I mean, so close for this DeSales Bulldogs team. They gave up a big spot in the top of the fifth, got a couple runners on, didn't have any outs. And then all of a sudden, a couple of balls that don't bounce their way, and they're headed back out onto the field, tasked with trying to keep this thing a 4-run deficit.
I mean, yeah, you think about those little breaks that went the way with Southwestern in the inning that they scored all those runs, and it felt like it was starting to turn that way for DeSales with the misplay at second base, allowing 2 runners on with nobody out. But then that last play, just so indicative of how cruel baseball can be at times, as DeSales still finds themselves in a 4-run hole.
Yeah, and with the way that Southwestern has started to get going, it's going to be a difficult job to keep the bats quiet now. It's going to be Foyer stepping into the batter's box. Again, hitting in that 9 hole. He'll have the opportunity to turn this lineup over and get your 1, 2, 3 hitters up to the plate if he can reach here. But Kyle Hart, who came in out of the pin for DeSales, has been very strong on the mound, and he continues right there, starting this at bat off 0-1. That one down towards third base, charging hard, but it will not result in a throw. A perfectly placed bunt from Foyer right there. Stranix a little bit late in squaring was Foyer, so Stranix playing in straight up position at third was unable to charge quickly enough to corral it and get a throw on over to first.
Yeah, if you're wondering why they had the bunt call with nobody on, that's it. Able to perfectly drag it down the line. And that's exactly what you need to do in order to reach on a play like that.
Yeah, that late action that you see in a drag bunt, maybe helped out a little bit by the fact that that pitch was so far in on the hands, puts it exactly in the position that you would want it as a hitter. Check over at first, but Foyer back there easily. Foyer completing his job of reaching base as the 9-hole hitter, and now it's Jake Harris back up to the plate. He was 0 for 2 in his first couple of appearances, but singled his last time up, and it brought in a run for the Pirates, trying to find a similar result here.
You think about the dynamic nature of 9-hole hitters and lineups. I mean, we have one here at Trinity. Jack Peterson, he does similar stuff like that. Bunt singles, steals when he gets on first, right? And that's the table-setting nature of the position, where you want to have the guy on who can be dynamic to get into scoring position for the top of your lineup.
Yeah, it is really interesting as you move up through different levels how each position in a batting order evolves and changes. And here, I think that's what we've become used to, seeing these really dynamic guys who are very, very good at executing and getting a job done, as Foyer just did. He just gets that drag bunt down as Harris sends this one to shortstop, and it might be erased quickly. Foyer is erased. That one over to second. Nice job of getting the lead runner. That time Rorik making the nice play, and McGowan taking a little bit more time to secure that and record one out before trying to push for a second. It wasn't there as Harris reaches on a fielder's choice. That'll bring Cochran in the 2-hole back to the plate. Freshman out of Marble Falls, 0 for 3 here tonight, and he's struck out his last 2 times up. Gets a piece of that one to move this to a 1-1 count.
Yeah, struck out his last 2 times up, though those both against the starting pitcher in this game. Seeing a new arm, maybe he'll have better luck.
Hart set again. Puts that one on the inside part of the plate. A little bit of tail in on the hands, but it's still caught enough of the zone to warrant the strike call. It's a 1-2 count. As Hart checks on first, Harris diving back in. He does so safely. Hart having to be mindful of the last couple of base runners, some speed on the base paths. As the runner was going right there, Harris advancing rather easily. It looked from our angle like that got him, but instead just winding up narrowly behind him. This one dropping just under his thigh and past his calves, very nearly avoiding the batter in the box. And now advancing all the way over to third is Harris, who's taking advantage of the last 2 pitches. Hart gave a couple of checks at first and then went away from it, and Harris fully takes advantage.
Yeah, we just talked about the dynamic nature of that position, able to get to third just on base running. Nearly comes home.
Yeah, almost had the opportunity there. Zavorsky forced to just keep that in front by any means necessary. It dribbles away just a little bit, but not enough to allow Harris that last 90 feet. The last couple of moments in this ball game going to warrant another visit to the mound. Last time out with Barati as starter, we saw a conversation before a move was made, but it looks right now as if there won't be a conversation this time. Someone headed out of the bullpen onto the mound for the Bulldogs. As he warms, we will take a quick break here in San Antonio and be back for the rest of the 6th. Anthony Schiebel onto the mound for DeSales. You see his numbers there. A little bit inflated. This one is going to get pushed foul by Vaquero. Saw a safety squeeze earlier on today from this Southwestern offense. Runner crashing hard from third that time was Harris, who's already showed off some speed on the base paths in this half inning. We'll see if the Bulldogs, who've now seen that once, can avoid it here. Schiebel back to the plate, squaring again. Vaquero does his job, but can't quite keep it fair.
Yeah, you saw the third baseman on that one, sort of crouched and ready in an athletic position, ready to run up and get the bunt if need be. You wonder how aggressive DeSales would be in that situation to get the lead runner, though now with 2 strikes, probably out of the question the bunt.
I would imagine that is, in fact, the case. Still, your 3-hole hitter in the batter's box, very dangerous guy swinging it. 0-2 count, he's unfazed. Taking a rip at that one. He'll fight it off back into the netting. Schiebel jumping ahead in this count, 0-2, because of those 2 attempted bunts that couldn't be kept fair, continuing to come straight at Vaquero. We'll see what he does here. Does so again, but that time he's punished for it. That one's going to find the corner all the way out there in deep left field. It's bouncing around, and that ricochet is going to allow that runner to come all the way around and score from first base. Harris making it across the 90 feet easily. Cochran motoring around the bags out there, and Vaquero, see it again, takes advantage of that pitch hanging up in the zone, has a 2 RBI double.
Bad to worse for the Bulldogs. Unfortunate that just finds its way into fair territory. Jumped ahead of it, but just the right spot for Southwestern to open up an 8-2 lead. It's going to be tough for the Bulldogs to get back into this.
You have to imagine that if they want to do so, they're going to have to cut things off right here. It's going to be Jacob Tanner stepping into the batter's box. Another guy that was 0 for 2 his first couple times through. Another guy that singled in his last plate appearance. Watches that first one wide and will move ahead 1-0. Schiebel eyeing Vaquero out at second base. It comes home, that one up the middle, but fielded cleanly. McGowan coming over, and he'll make that strong throw over to first. Another sure-handed play in the middle of the infield after some mistakes were made in that area of the field defensively. Schiebel narrowly avoiding that one with his glove, and probably better that it got through cleanly right there.
Yeah, he barely had enough time to make that play as it was. The glove getting on that would have slowed things down too much, but a great play from the middle of that defense. You mentioned that we've seen some mistakes in that part of the field, but able to rebound and get a pretty tough out.
Yeah, not weighing on the conscience of these middle infielders for DeSales, moving them one step closer to putting themselves back in the batter's box. But Maxwell Mims on the other side, trying to keep this inning extended. Fouls that pitch off to draw things even at 1-1. But a very, very dangerous hitter in the 5 spot for the Pirates. 2 for 3 and a single and RBI in his last time up as he watches that breaking ball crash a little too far in on his hands. Very nice pitch from Schiebel right there, but couldn't get the benefit of the call. So he'll have to try again, now behind 2-1. Offering home on the other side of the plate this time will induce a swing from Mims. He's just able to fight it off the opposite direction.
You would go back to that defensive play by McGowan. Really important. It takes the sacrifice fly possibility away.
As Mims puts a charge into that one, and it was an absolute no-doubter. That one jumping off of his bat, and it leaves the park in a hurry. Saw a couple of breaking balls consecutively, but gets that fastball down and in. He just goes down and puts the barrel on it. Great launch angle, and he knew right away. He began that trot just a couple of steps out of the batter's box.
I don't know that I've ever seen the ball explode off the bat like that while doing a game here at Trinity. He knew it right away. He was jumping down the first base line. Now 10 runs put up by Southwestern. That's the most they've had in quite some time.
Yeah, pretty huge turnaround for this Pirates team, who, again, we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, lost 5 consecutive. You pointed out, Cole, struggled to put up runs, but perhaps putting an end to that here in San Antonio. Maxwell Mims capping things a little bit right there. 10-run performance with a huge 2-run bomb to left center field. Kanata trying to keep things going himself. Schiebel still out there for the Bulldogs, fighting at the moment, trying to get out of this half inning. Kanata fouling that one off, and Schiebel will now be just 1 strike away from doing so.
And you think about this being kind of a bounce-back game for Southwestern, kind of a reset to what they perceive as the norm. Last season, they were a ranked team for some time last year. Made the SCAC tournament as the 4 seed, but only 2 games out from being the 1 seed. This is more of what we saw last season.
Kanata takes that one down and in. Fastball that misses well low of the zone. Schiebel will have to work now in a full count situation. Batter and pitcher both ready as Schiebel delivers to home plate, and Kanata fouls this one off down the right field line. And Cole, you mentioned this was a Southwestern team ranked for a large portion of the year last season. They return a fair bit of that talent. Maxwell Mims, one of the names that's been there for several years, as Schiebel will again put that one over the heart of the plate. It's barreled and sent into left center field. It'll get down as Kanata rounding hard. He'll be up at second base quite easily. Things continuing here for the Pirates, and they show you that they have much of that same talent on this team. Replay there, that one middle upper part of the zone, and Kanata just getting barrel on the baseball. Trace Organ will step back into the batter's box. He watches that one down and in for strike 1. This middle portion of the Southwestern batting order doing a lot of damage today. 3 through 6 hitters doing pretty much everything, as that one's going to get under the glove of Schiebel. He had an opportunity right there. Not entirely sure how it'll be scored. More than likely going to be an error as it gets under his glove as he's set right here. Makes a very difficult play for the middle of the infield. Rorik got there charging very hard from second base, but just couldn't put a throw on target, and things continuing to unravel for DeSales.
Yeah, just these last 2 innings, DeSales had the 2-1 lead just a few innings ago. And a lot of this coming with 2 outs as well.
Get back to that point from just a moment ago. 3 through 6 for Southwestern. Here's the evening they're having. 2 for 4, 1 for 4, 3 for 4, and 2 for 4. As that one's going to get away and allow Oregon to advance over to second base. So another force play in the infield taken out of play. Schiebel continuing to labor out there on the mound. He's behind in this count 1-0. Owen Stevenson at the plate here. He's probably the guy you want to see, as he does have an 0 for 3 evening working. He struck out all 3 times he stepped into the batter's box.
Yeah, the hat trick you do not want to see. See if he can change that here.
Schiebel helping him out just a little bit at the moment. Stevenson moving ahead now 3-0. I'm assuming he's getting a red light call from his first base coach as he gives a nod down in that direction. Watching that one all the way, and he watches it outside the zone. Schiebel issuing a 4-pitch walk to the Southwestern 8-hole hitter. It's going to warrant another visit to the mound here in the top of the 6th.
Yeah, that's just the tough thing in an inning like this, is that the little things start to get away from you. You're out there for so long, and you just see some of these little details lacking in DeSales defensively right now, and I think part of it's just being tired from being out there for so long.
We'll have another pitching change here on the campus of Trinity University. While the new arm warms, we will again step away. Be back with you in just a moment on Tiger Network. And it appears that Ashton Johnson is ready to get underway. 1-0 on the year with a very respectable ERA. He's trying to keep that number clean right now. He's not responsible for the runners on base, as they are loaded for the Pirates, who have had another big inning here in the 6th. 5 in the top of the 5th, now 4 in the top of the 6th. As they try and keep things rolling, it's Foyer standing in there right now. And he'll do so. That one sent to left field. It's going to get down. Only runner will come across, as it was a very hard hit out there, and Kerr was quick to get to it. But the Pirates, with that one, able to match their run total from the last half, and might not be done yet.
No, not quite done yet, but as poor as it's been from DeSales defensively, 5 errors, that was a well-executed defensive play, able to keep it in front of them, only allowing 1 run in, keeping this 11-2 instead of what could have been more.
As Harris will step into the box now, he watches that first pitch up just a little bit above the zone. Johnson operating another righty into the game for the Bulldogs, who delivers that time, leaving it a little high and outside. So Harris quickly ahead 2-0, and with the bases loaded, nowhere for Johnson to put him. He's going to have to come into the strike zone against the leadoff hitter for the Pirates. A little closer to doing so right there, but even then it misses low, and now in a 3-0 count, just one pitch away from putting Harris on and walking home a run.
Yeah, you said it, Luke. Nowhere to put him. Got to throw strikes here.
We'll see if he can do so. 3-0 offering on its way. That one also left outside. Harris aboard on a 4-pitch walk. That's going to walk home. I believe it's number 5 out there, Carter Sanch, who came into the game to pinch run for Southwestern. So he will have a run scored to his name as Cochran will step back up to the plate. That fastball up in the zone does catch the zone. Johnson struggling. His first 2 batters in out of the bullpen, able to jump ahead here, trying to get the job finished. Second delivery is down and away. Continuing to work hard in an extended inning. Gavin Zavorsky working behind that one to keep it right at home plate, making sure it couldn't leak away at all. For Stevenson now at third base to come home. 1-1 pitch driven out to left field. This one will be put away in the books. Kerr has had his name called quite frequently today. That one got on him quickly, but thankfully for him, he didn't have to do too much movement, playing straight up there in left field, and he records the final out here in the top of the 6th. It's Owen Fischel trying to get things started here for DeSales in the bottom of the 6th, as they've now fallen behind in a game that the Pirates have broken wide open. It's 12-2 here in San Antonio. Excuse me, it's Colin Cuny up at the plate. He swings through that one. Even this count at 1-1. 2 lefties standing in there wearing number 26 and 27 respectively. Pretty similar statures too, so late on the substitution, hitting in the same spot in the order on top of everything else.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's all right. You got the graphics guys helping us out with that one.
Ferguson now back ahead in the count 1-2, trying to record out number one quickly. Last two offerings, same result. Sent pretty hard down that third base foul side. McCuney trying to get a board here for the Bulldogs, who've had misfortune on both sides of the baseball. Had some runners on in the bottom of the fifth. McCuney will see that one up above the strike zone, but had everything erased off a hard ricochet off the brick backstop here at Trinity University.
Yeah, two runners on. It was a 6-2 game at the time. Within range now. Less so.
Ferguson will come back hard in on the hands of McCuney. He didn't have the opportunity to start him. Frozen all the way as Ferguson dots this fastball in the inner half of the plate. Great pitch for the strikeout.
Well, this is some of what we were seeing earlier from Ferguson, seeing a new batter for the first time in a while. Able to go back to some of that first inning stuff that he was using.
He does so successfully as it's been a couple of long innings offensively for Southwestern. Ferguson has had time to sit in his own dugout. Never know exactly how that's going to impact the pitcher. If anything, he looks just as fresh as he did before.
Yeah, it's the rest versus rust argument that you see in Week 18 of the NFL season.
It's been rest for Ferguson as a couple more breaking balls induce some swing and misses. As it's Vaccaro into the game for the Bulldogs, quickly behind 0-2, but lays off that one. Ferguson spikes that out ahead of home plate. Vaccaro easily able to lay off of it. Trying to work this count and get a base runner aboard for the Bulldogs. Ferguson into his windup, the delivery home, catches the outer corner, again spotting it with a couple of fastballs. Ferguson continuing to work and moves now to 11 strikeouts on his outing.
It's unbelievable from Ferguson as he loses the hat once again. The back-to-back DeSales batters going down looking, that fastball. Kind of reverse pitching in a way. They talk about pitching backwards. You start with your breaking stuff and then you work to your fastball. That's what we're seeing from Ferguson in this inning.
I mean, understandable. Trying to identify spin when you're up in that batter's box, and then all of a sudden you have something just blown right past you. It's been a very tough ask facing Greg Ferguson. So he's now trying to get out of another clean inning. He's worked 3 consecutively to this point. I should say 2 2/3, but great opportunity to continue that trend right here. So Warwick now at the plate for DeSales. A couple of pinch runners, or pitch hitters, I should say, for the Bulldogs. As Southwestern has blown this one wide open. It'll give the Bulldogs an opportunity to get some fresh faces into the game, get some work that they might not otherwise have.
Yeah, and then also rest for the regulars. I mean, they're on a week-long Texas trip right now. You're playing almost every day. I think some rest could benefit these guys.
And Warwick will, in fact, reach a base right there. A 4-pitch walk issued by Ferguson as he pulled off a couple of pitches in that at-bat. He loses what was there, the 5-hole hitter for DeSales. It'll bring back up to the plate Sag. He swings through that one. It moves the count to 0-1. Ferguson continuing to operate here. That one down, but blocked well by Vaccaro behind home plate, who checks on Warwick over at first base, but Warwick doesn't look like he's threatening to move at all, staying quite honest even on that pitch down in the dirt. Ferguson, another delivery, misses low. Vaccaro
up quickly, but Warwick still not threatening to move over to second base. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. DeSales trying to keep this inning intact any way they can. And for now, that means Saig trying to extend it with a bat in his hands. He will not do so there as Ferguson goes back to that breaking ball, and he has Saig out in front of it.
Ferguson trying to end his day on a high of about 95 pitches. You wonder how much further he goes after this. Trying to finish it strong.
Calls that one's up and in, but it's not going to be, or will be, fielded cleanly. A little bit of a delay out there for Southwestern as they'll converge, and I think more than anything, it's a congratulations and a nice play is drifting back for the Pirates right there. Their shortstop, Ben Foyer, making a nice play as that one hung up in the air for quite a while. And the infielders making that final put out of the bottom of the 6th. Still a 12-2 ball game here in San Antonio. And we'll continue in just a moment. Johnson still out on the mound for DeSales, and he will face the heart of this Pirate order that has been so good tonight. Starting now with a 3-hole hitter, James Vaquero, 2 for 4, and he's reached safely his last 2 plate appearances, a single in the 5th and a double in the 6th. And with those 2 hits, he's brought in 4 of these Southwestern runs. Even in this count at the moment, 1-1. He awaits this 3rd delivery. That one up and out of the zone. So Johnson trying to work quickly and retire the first Pirate of the inning, something that I don't think we've seen very frequently from DeSales in the last couple of halves. Falls behind 2-1 and make it 3-1 as another pitch up in delivery. Misses high out of the zone. Vaquero will threaten now in the 3-1 count.
You talk about not getting that first batter very often. They'll try and reverse that trend.
Johnson making an adjustment right there, coming back into the strike zone. Vaquero ready for it, at least enough to battle it off back to the netting, back behind home plate. And count is full now as Johnson's final delivery misses in a spot that we've seen a couple of times. Losing that one arm side up high out of the zone.
Leadoff walk, never something you want to see as a pitcher, particularly when you're working in a deficit like this. There's no need to give them a reason to pour it on. Yet that's exactly what they have with a runner on and nobody out.
Yeah, and at this point in the game, if you're Johnson and this DeSales bullpen as a whole, I think you want to make things move along quickly and try and pitch to contact as much as possible. Johnson does a better job of making that an option right there, pumping a first pitch strike into the zone, gets ahead 0-1. As Jacob Tanner steps back up to the plate. Another one dropped in there, that time breaking ball variety to move to 0-2. But when the ball has been put in play, it hasn't resulted in as many outs as it should have for this Bulldogs team tonight. 5 errors on the evening. That one sent right back up where it came from. Jacob Tanner doing a nice job of shortening his swing right there and sends it up the middle of the field. Line drive will advance Vaquero over on a pitch 0-2 that runs in on his hands a little bit but still catches too much of the plate.
Yeah, good job to get the barrel on the ball. But looking at this inning and the last 2 from a DeSales perspective, you think about, like, yeah, it's 12-2, but these innings matter. They're on a week-long Texas road trip. They're going to be playing most of these games. The more pitchers they can preserve and sustain over a week-long period of time, the better off they're going to be.
Yeah, for that reason, I would imagine that Johnson will likely remain out there, much as Schiebel did before Johnson came into the game. Southwestern was able to scratch some runs off of all of these arms. It was really when pitches weren't winding up as strikes consistently that changes were forced to be made. Johnson still faring well in the strike throwing department. He was ahead in the last at bat, draws even now 1-1 here against Maxwell Mims. Mims fights that one off, so again Johnson will move ahead. It's 1-2 here, but it was a 2-strike count. Maxwell Mims last time up to the plate that he blasted off here in San Antonio, one that just jumped off of his bat out of the ballpark for a 2-run shot. That one jumping off his bat, but opposite direction, it winds up foul and out of play. Johnson, maybe a little bit of a dangerous spot right there, but Mims, it's all he can do to fight it off.
Yeah, good job to fight that one off, but going back to the home run, I think that's what made it hurt so much more for DeSales, the fact that it was 2 strikes, and I think a lot of the damage has been done for Southwestern with 2 strikes and 2 outs.
Johnson missing up and out of the zone that time. I think you're right, Cole. I'm almost positive that that was a 2-out situation on top of being a 2-strike count. So an opportunity to get off of the field, but things just continue to unravel, and similar happening right now as Johnson got ahead in this count 1-2. Mims able to fight something off, and then a couple of consecutive deliveries outside of the zone. Not close enough either to get Maxwell Mims to offer at them. So we'll have a 3-2 pitch up in the zone, and Mims will swing through it. Johnson being forced to throw something over the plate. Mims not able to make contact on it that time.
That's what you like to see if you're DeSales, not just from the perspective of getting an out, from the perspective of finishing a job. You've had several innings that have gotten away from you in 2-out situations, 2-strike hitters reaching, whether it's working a walk from a 2-strike situation or just putting it in play, or even the home run. Just a lot of different outcomes that could have come out of this game, even though it's 12-2.
Johnson will drop another strike in there with another breaking ball. But you're right, we just talked about the Maxwell Mims home run. It came on 2 outs, but those weren't the only runs scratched on 2 outs in the top half of the 6th. There were runs scored before that and after that, as this one is fouled off. It's Lawrence Lahr who is in there now for Southwestern, falling behind in this at-bat 0-2. I'll have to do so maybe in a little bit of pain. He steps back into the batter's box, ready to swing it as Johnson makes another delivery and has him looking, drops another pretty breaking ball on the outside part of the plate. After the first 2 batters reached and Johnson was at risk of putting a third on and loading the bases with nobody out, he quickly turns around and is instead just 1 out from getting back into the dugout. Will be Carter Sanchez stepping to the plate, trying to prolong the inning again for Southwestern. See if they can do some more damage with 2 outs on the board.
Yeah, it's a situation they're pretty comfortable in, and you know, we referenced it earlier, not a team that scored a lot of runs in the past, a good rebound game for them as well.
Johnson does put that one into the strike zone. It's up behind home plate. Zavorsky had an opportunity to make that play, just couldn't locate it here, and it looked like it might have bounced in fair territory, actually, before taking whatever spin into foul ground. So very, very nearly disaster for DeSales right there. Opportunity to get out of the inning that wasn't capitalized on, but at least they will see another pitch here at 12-2. That one also down out of the zone. Johnson now behind 2-1 in this count. 2-1. Johnson readies and delivers a breaking ball on the outside part of the plate. That'll be called a strike. A little bit wide from our vantage point, but home plate umpire has liked that spot all evening long. Johnson will get the benefit of the doubt.
It's 12-2.
That one a little too loopy, so he won't get the benefit of the doubt in the 12-2 ball game that we're working right now. It'll go full. Johnson and Sanchez will face off one more time at least. Johnson readies, delivers home. That fastball up and just above the strike zone.
Yeah, not getting the benefit of the doubt on that one, just a bit high. Ends up loading the bases, but once again in two-out situation, unable to just finish the job. Opportunity with the ball popped up into the air, just couldn't find it. Able to work a walk. Southwestern was in that situation, and now they have a bases loaded situation once again.
It's Stevenson, who walked his last time up, but outside of that, 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. And Johnson starts him off with a strike swinging. Another breaking ball down in the zone that Stevenson was out ahead of. 0-1 delivery. Another breaking ball that hangs up, and Stevenson, frustrated, is able to at least get a piece of that one, but can only fight it off the opposite direction. Breaking ball that the velocity is certainly taken off of, fought off as Stevenson was quite tardy on it. Pitch up in the zone, changing velocity and coming right at him after he was a little late on the last pitch. Does get Johnson out of this half with no damage done. It will remain a 12-2 lead for the Southwestern Pirates as DeSales comes back up to bat. For Southwestern, Greg Ferguson's evening is done. It was quite a good one. He went 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, but he struck out 12 in the process. He had pretty much everything working after he settled in. Gave up 1 in the bottom of the first, 1 in the bottom of the third, and then worked 3 clean frames. And now he'll hand things off. It's Ty Elder, who checks into the game for the Pirates. A very comfortable cushion here. That one sent on the ground through the left side of the infield. Nice start here to the bottom of the 7th after we just got done stretching in San Antonio. Atkins, see the replay of it right here. Watches a breaking ball that hangs up and catches the heart of the plate. Is able to put barrel on baseball right there and takes advantage of that hanging one.
Yeah, I think some of the relief that you're seeing that Ferguson's not in the game anymore. Really good night for him. You're wondering how he was going to respond after giving up the ground rule double in the first inning, a baseball that I found walking on the way over here, by the way. But he did so well, double-digit strikeouts. It's exactly what Southwestern needed to end this skid.
It's McGowan stepping into the box now. Yeah, go back to that one. Ground rule double. Runners on the corners. On a play where I believe the baseball glanced off of his glove, despite that Southwestern defensively behind him, still able to turn a double play. Usually not the way things bounce when your pitcher puts a little bit of contact on the baseball. It slows things down. It creates a deflection and a directional change. But Pirates weren't hurt, and that's really the way things have continued all evening long. DeSales has not had the fortune of some bounces in this one, and since then, things have unraveled in favor of the Pirates.
Yeah, I think of the bounces I think of are in particular that one and then the bounce off the backstop to catch the runner coming in from third. You think if those two things have been different, maybe DeSales more in this game, things don't unravel as much.
Gowan sending that one back to the wall out in right field, but it'll get hauled in there. It's number 49, Logan Wilson, who has checked in for the Pirates. He's out there making that play defensively. So you see this one down on that outside part of the plate. McGowan did everything he could with it, just stayed in the ballpark that time. Elder is set again. The first pitch delivery, a breaking ball that drops in there. You're right. More than anything, it's those bounces when the Bulldogs have been at the plate that have hurt them the most. You had opportunities for some really big innings, and then all of a sudden the bats more or less snatched out of your hands. It's killed the momentum for them, and maybe that has bled over into impacting some things in the field.
Yeah, you talk about the things in the field. It's been those bounces, but also self-inflicted wounds on the part of DeSales. 5 errors in this game. It's just really hard to win a baseball game when you commit 5 errors. Just put it bluntly like that. And they'll hope to respond as they continue the schedule.
Rorick going to sky that one into the right center field gap. It'll get down out there. See a replay of it. Not a bad pitch from Elder. Breaking ball that was down and away. And Rorick going down, just sticking the barrel out there. Had some air under it. It just died ahead of Mims and Wilson out there in center and right field. So 7th inning continuing along nicely as there will be a pinch hitter into the game now for the Bulldogs. Trying to put a charge into this offense. Dangle will swing through that one. A healthy hack in an 0-0 count as Elder is operating with some traffic on the bases now. Trying to keep things clean for Southwestern and move this game along quickly. Second offering will be left up and out of the zone, maybe jumping out of his hand a little early on a breaking ball that just didn't have the bite that he wanted on it. He's ready to go again. 1-1 count. That delivery over the middle of the plate is popped up It's going to be Mims out there in center who is camped under it. He makes that play easily. So it's a second out now recorded. Elder doing a nice job of responding and fighting in a position where there are a couple of runners on base.
Yeah, up 10 runs, you just want to throw strikes in this situation. I mean, odds are, even if you do allow some runs to come across, something like that's going to happen. They're just going to miss the baseball a little bit and put it into play for your defense to handle. That's just what you're looking for in this situation if you're Southwestern.
Stranix will step back into the plate, trying to create a 2-out rally of any kind for DeSales. Won't be an easy task. Now down 0-1. Another breaking ball that catches that corner down and away. Elder just 1 out from getting out of this inning. This one grounded hard over to first, but it's fielded cleanly there. So Southwestern will, in fact, avoid any inflicted damage. It was Lawrence Lahr who checked into the game defensively for the Pirates at first base, who fielded that cleanly. He did the job by himself. He takes it over to the bag for out number 3. And that's a full 7 innings here in San Antonio. We'll move on to the top of the 8th. We'll have a new pitcher on the mound when we start it. It's Owen Ging into the game now. Freshman on the mound for DeSales. Facing off against Sam Castillo. A couple of offerings missing out of the zone. Now here in the top of the 8th. Well, we've seen some wild comebacks this year, Cole, on Tiger Network. This one seems to be in hand for the Pirates, just 6 outs away from getting to the finish line and putting another mark in that victory column. But for now, Castillo will reach. It's a 4-pitch walk that is offered.
Yeah, you've talked about those wild comebacks that we've seen on Tiger Network. A few of them from the Trinity Tigers, who are usually shown here. Trinity was down 14-5 in the 8th inning against Babson, able to work their way back into that game and eventually win it 15-4. 15-14, I should say.
Yeah, and a 9-run deficit, the difference in that one that Trinity was able to overcome. One more run difference here, 10-run deficit, I should say, for DeSales. With only 6 out remaining. Going to be pretty difficult to complete that job. This King fighting here in this at-bat. Moves it to 1-2. While they might not have a chance this evening to fight all the way back for a win, they will have plenty of chances for the next several days here in Texas, as there's a lot of baseball to be played for the DeSales Bulldogs. So that one is left up and in. It'll even the count at 1-2. DeSales, as we mentioned, played yesterday in Seguin at Texas Lutheran University. Played tonight here in San Antonio, as that one swung through and it is hung on behind home plate. It's out number 1 here in the top of the 8th.
as the Bulldogs try and end this one on a strong note as they'll continue play against Southwestern. They go to Georgetown tomorrow. Then they play the Schreiner University Mountaineers on Wednesday. They're back here in San Antonio to face the host school, Trinity University. And that will conclude their spring road trip here in South Texas. On the other side of things, the Pirates will play tomorrow, and then they'll kick off a series this weekend against Latorno. Both of these squads with a lot of baseball to be played, and while they won't play all of their games here in San Antonio, there will be even more games here at Trinity University on Tiger Network. This gang, after that strikeout in the previous at-bat, now falling behind a 3-0 count. It's Cochran who's standing in there again. It was Wilson who was just retired for the Pirates. Gang able to throw that one over the heart of the plate. Spots it. There's very likely a red light for Cochran right there, all the way ahead 3-0 in the count. A couple of consecutive pitches spotted by Gang right there, and finds himself back squarely in this at-bat. Now full 3-2. That delivery on the edge of the plate. It's all Cochran can do to fight it off in the opposite direction. Nice job shortening up right there. He gets the barrel on the baseball, and they'll do it again. Gang set, and he readies home, and it's fouled off again. In on the hands of Cochran, who got just enough of that one to put it back to the backstop. Another hard ricochet off that brick back there.
Yeah, keeping that runner at first base. Good job by both people involved in this at-bat, battling, fouling off pitches, working back from 3-0. We'll see who wins.
This one's sent on the ground. Taylor made 6-4-3, and they complete the job. Nice work in the infield. It was McGowan to Rorick, over to Sag, and they get out of the inning. Gang comes into this one, as we've been talking about, does a nice job of pitching to contact, induces that ground ball, and the Bulldogs head to the bottom of the 8th. It's Jack Murphy now into the game for Southwestern, operating here in the bottom of the 8th. So McCuney back up in the batter's box for DeSales. His second time in. He was inserted. He removed the 3-hole hitter Owen Fischel earlier in this one. Watches another pit miss outside Murphy losing that one arm side as he comes into this affair, his second appearance of the season. Battling down 2-1, is able to pump that strike in there, and he draws the count even, now 2-2. That one blown by McCuney. Murphy operating from behind in that count. Couple of consecutive fastballs that he locates well. Comes from behind to get the strikeout and start us off with out number 1 here in the bottom of the inning.
Yeah, good start for Captain Jack, trying to close it out for the Pirates.
It's a very solid one, Cole, I have to admit. I think credit is given where credit is due. And I do
Jack and Pirates. It was too easy.
Everything I can. Yeah, I mean, that was low-hanging fruit for you, I will say. But you took full advantage of it as Jack Murphy continues to operate. Now Vaccaro stepping into the batter's box. A 1-1 count. As Murphy will miss that one low. He'll adjust his pants. As I'm sure that made a big difference in that fastball that he spiked just a little bit out ahead of the plate. But he's ready to go this time. And the adjustment was made. That one he fully reached for, just couldn't come up with it. And it snuck through cleanly for Carter Sanchez out there at second base, who did field it cleanly himself. See the full extension on that replay, but again, probably best that there was no deflection. This is an easy play for the second baseman, and now very quickly 2 gone here in the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah, missing that baseball worked out for him in a way. Don't want to deflect it. Don't want to make your second baseman's job any more difficult than it needs to be.
And again, those bounces, more often than not, winding up in favor, or at least being favorable for Southwestern here in this one, as Murphy misses that pitch down and in. Looks like there's another defensive replacement, a host of defensive replacements, realistically. Pirates have made some changes as they've pulled far ahead in this one. Connor Duff out there at third base at the moment, behind home plate. Liam Stonist coming in to do the catching duties. Repeat, a lot of baseball to be played for each of these teams. And some chances for them on both sides to rest their legs as they'll go at things again tomorrow. Runner will reach here. Warwick over at first base for DeSales, as this one is sent over the head of the first baseman. Thought off the bat that might have been a line drive, a little bit hard to read, but I think instead it took a sharp bounce right out ahead of home plate, and it jumped Lawrence Lahr over there at first, who was crashing on it maybe a little bit too hard, just took himself out of position, and I don't think Saig is going to be too disappointed in the end result. He'll walk away with a base hit, and the Bulldogs will continue to hit.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen a ball kind of float and die like that. That was pretty unusual, but just another Pirate getting their sea legs out there as they get some new guys in here, get them some experience.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely familiar as Aiken sends that one up the middle. That one looks like it sneaks through, and that's going to be plenty to do the job of getting Warwick home from third. So Aikens sees this breaking ball hang up in the zone. In on his hands, he does a nice job of pulling his own through, getting those shoulders turned to get barrel on baseball. Typically a pitch that I think most hitters would be jammed on, but so early on that one, simultaneously doing such a great job of pulling those hands through that he puts the barrel on it and puts it through the gap. So now McGowan, again, an opportunity to hit. He's 1 for 3. He struck out his first plate appearance before singling
before flying out. We'll draw this count even, 1-1. The Bulldogs are finally able to do a little 2-out damage of their own here.
Yeah, they'll work on a lot of pinch hitters in the game. You know, that's something I learned from Trinity's head coach, Tim Scannell. He talked about just the approach when you're in the batter's box and how a pinch hitter might have a more just pure approach.
That one is going to get away. Murphy pulling off on it a little bit right there as home plate umpire is going to say he wants that baseball off the backstop, taking a hard ricochet, gets a fresh one, hopefully unscathed, back into play.
But anyways, what Tigers head coach Tim Scannell was telling me is that really when you're in the batter's box, it's not a lot of overthinking. Just try and get the bat to the ball, and the pinch hitters just tend to put the ball in play more.
Yeah, I think that's understandable. Right? There's not a ton to think about out there, but when you have the context of previous at-bats as guys that start games, then maybe you do start to overthink. And as a pinch hitter, you can come in as this one is put in play. Murphy will field it cleanly and make the throw on over to first for the last out of the inning. But as a pinch hitter, obviously you don't have that context. You can go up there fresh, maybe with the advice of your teammates as to what a given guy has on the mound, what he's throwing, but you're not thinking so much about how he attacked you last time, and you're just focusing on trying to hit strikes.
Yeah, he said it's just more of a pure thought process. If the ball's there, you're just going to hit it, put it in play, and then that usually yields a lot of good results. I mean, we've seen it with DeSales defensively today with 5 errors. When you put the ball in play, good things happen, and that's ultimately the mindset that can come out of a pinch hit at bat as opposed to somebody who starts the game.
And I think we've seen that prove to be fruitful for both of these squads here tonight. Again, DeSales able to scratch a run. They are in the bottom half of the 8th. Not the greatest of offensive showings, but something to work with and hopefully for the Bulldogs take with them as they head up to Georgetown tomorrow. So we'll see Ryan Whitaker step onto the mound for DeSales. Another face, Brady Sr. out of New York, trying to close things out and get these final 3 outs before the Bulldogs will have one more opportunity in the home half. Designated home team as they're playing a pseudo home-and-home series with Southwestern over the next 2 days.
Yeah, I would assume that they're staying somewhere in San Antonio. I know that as we do more prep on DeSales for when they play Trinity on Thursday, we'll probably learn some of those details. But it would make sense that if they're staying in the San Antonio area that they pick Trinity to be their home venue, quote-unquote.
Yeah, a much easier task now that Trinity has this very gorgeous turf baseball field. New installment in the last few seasons, and certainly one that has made its impact on some games here in San Antonio. I think it has made its impact here tonight. A lot of errors made in the field, and I'm not sure what the playing surfaces are for either of these squads, but there's always difficulty even if you are used to playing on turf, and I think we have seen that this evening. So we're just about ready to go here in the top of the 9th. Whitaker face off against Lucas Marlowe, who sends that first pitch foul down the third base line.
Very impressive what Southwestern's been able to do here today, because learning the impact of the turf, often it can soak up a lot of runs just because of the hops. That can be kind of routine. You're not getting like bad patches of grass, right? It's very smooth, so that can soak up a lot of the offense, and we saw that with Trinity's run numbers. Played on this field quite a bit last season, taking a dip. A lot of that was the turf.
As Whitaker set again ahead 0-2, and that breaking ball induces a swing and miss. Very nice first at bat from Whitaker right here consecutive offerings that induced those swing and misses. This one just dropping out. A difficult read, as that has pretty true 12-6 movement on it for a guy that's throwing from a pretty awkward arm slot.
Yeah, that's the photo you would use if you were going to describe 12-6. Just a straight drop.
It's Connor Duffy, who was the defensive change at third base for the Pirates, will now have the opportunity to swing it at the plate for the first time this evening. He's falling behind quickly 0-1. Second offering from Whitaker gets left on his arm side, misses in that other batter's box, so it draws even now.
You know, I would like to take this opportunity to say this about DeSales, and something I've noticed tonight. Their uniforms are amazing. I love the red cap, the red sock. I think it works very well.
Yeah, red, white, and blue, a hard combination to go wrong with.
It's very similar to the Texas Rangers alternate uniform. I think that it's just a very nice look.
Yeah, especially when you can throw the stirrups on out there, get a nice larger splash of red in these uniforms. Whitaker looks good, and he's pitching good as well. Another strikeout for the big right-handed senior. Another one of those 12-6 breaking balls, and got Duffy to swing and miss over the top of it. 2 up, 2 down here in the top of the 9th, but it's going to be Maxwell Mims who remains in the game for Southwestern. Will be his 6th trip to the plate tonight. He's going to walk away with at least 3 hits. He has the opportunity to add one more right here in a night where he's notched 3 RBI. That one up in the air out to left field. Looks like he got under this one just a bit too much, but it looks like it also finds its way down out there. Tough read from our angle here on Tiger Network, but umpires in the field ruling that that one is safe. And now it's a couple of times in San Antonio that we've seen some balls batted in the air, pretty lofty, that have been difficult for these defensive players to locate.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that is the sky anymore. The getting dark, it should be easier to see that ball in the air now. But of course, we don't know the wind situation out there, wind manipulating the ball. Could be tough.
So it looked momentarily like Whitaker was out of this inning. Instead, he'll step back onto the mound. It's going to be Lawrence Lara who steps to the plate for Southwestern, trying to continue things. He struck out looking in his last time up, and he's down 0-1 to start this off. Pitch outside that is somehow corralled. Nice work behind home plate. It's Warwick back there now for the Bulldogs, who gets his shoulders all the way around that one to keep it as close to that third base line as possible, with Mims out there at second. Whitaker set again. His delivery up and lofty into that lead shoulder of Lara, who will reach first base on the hit by pitch.
Not something you want to see ever with 2 down in an inning. But in the 12-3 game, just an opportunity to learn from that. But going back to the fly ball in left field, I don't know if you could see it when the center field cam was up on your screen, but those flags kind of moving in all different directions out in dead center tells me that the wind's just swirling right now.
Whitaker pulling off on that one. Not finishing down the middle of the plate right there, as it ends up bare minimum the heart of the opposite batter's box. Warwick continuing to work behind home plate, securing everything to keep the runners in their positions at first and second respectively. Another pitch left up, that one missing high out of the zone. Sanchez at the plate. His second appearance at the plate this evening, he walked in the 7th. threatening to do so again here, ahead 2-0. That one will find the strike zone, though. Pitch a little bit up and outside, but Whitaker will get the benefit of that call.
2 down in the inning. Love to see if he can find a way to finish this.
Puts that one into the zone, and it's hit down the line, but foul. Home plate umpire very quick to make that call. I've seen a couple of balls hit into that left field corner. It can be a very, very difficult place to field things cleanly. Plays pretty hard off of the wall out there and left, especially on hard hit balls like that. A little bit of a break for the Bulldogs there as Whitaker in the process is able to draw even in this at bat. 2-2 count, trying to get out of it. And he will do so. Another breaking ball from Whitaker right there. Maybe not of the 12-6 variety, but a nice movement. The starting location induced the swing from Sanchez, and he was unable to make contact. So that'll do it for the top of the 9th inning. We'll have 3 more outs to get through in San Antonio, and we'll do it on the other side of a break. And it's Murphy back out there for the Pirates, trying to bring this one home. This is Rorick's spot in the lineup, but I believe it'll be a pinch hitter who makes a big statement here. This one sent out to deep left field. Looks like it's going to find the gap, and whoever it is going to find their way out to second base. A charge put into that baseball by Zach Zukowski, the senior outfielder who checks in here in San Antonio and very, very quickly makes a bit of a difference. Nice piece of hitting right there, fresh out of the dugout. Exactly what we were just talking about, Cole, is this one also sent back up the middle. A dive in the middle of the infield is not going to warrant any success. Carter Sanchez trying to come up with that one at second base. With the Bulldogs here in the bottom half of the 9th, jumping all over Murphy, and quickly runners on the corners with nobody gone.
Oh, yeah, they're swinging it now. Early, aggressive at-bats from DeSales puts runners at the corners with nobody on. And, you know, maybe that's not going to matter too much for the final result of this game, but they'll at least hope to carry some of this momentum into their game when they play next time.
It was Zukowski that came in the bottom of the 9th, got the first hit of the inning, and then Dingle, another pinch hitter, was that last batter hitting in the 1 spot. Another change here in Stranik's original position in the order. Watching that breaking ball low in the zone is Owen Fry, sophomore catcher, standing in on the right-hand side of the plate, and he'll work with a 2-0 count. Ahead big time right here as Murphy is trying to settle in. Still a 9-run cushion. runners on base don't matter all that much, but certainly would like to get out of this inning unscathed, I'm sure.
Yeah, now behind in the count 3-0, not something you want to see up 9 runs. Rather have those hits happen than what's happening right now.
And a 4-pitch walk issued to Fry right there, so the base is loaded with Bulldogs.
Yeah, I would probably be having a chat with Captain Jack right now. Just settle him down, just remind him, hey, you're up 9 runs, don't worry about it. Let's just get out of this inning, and let's get back to Georgetown to play these guys again.
Bases loaded, but force outs everywhere as Cuny steps back into the plate. Breaking ball right there, very, very close, but missing just underneath the zone. So Cuny operating ahead in this at-bat. He'll send this one to the left side, fielded cleanly. Another 6-4-3, and that one nicely hauled in over at first. Lawrence Lahr finishing the putout here. Murphy pitching to contact. That one really chopped that and rolled over on. Pitching to contact, exactly what you want to do. It gave him the opportunity to trade 1 run right there for a couple of outs. So in what was just a bases loaded, no out situation, Murphy now just 2 strikes away from finishing this ball game up as he makes that first delivery. Nice breaking ball in the bottom half of the zone to jump out ahead 0-1. Vaccaro back up to the plate for DeSales, who swings through, makes it 0-2. And now Murphy just 1 strike away from getting this victory for Southwestern. 0-2, and Murphy's delivery to the plate. Another breaking ball, it looked like, hung up there. Vaccaro took a healthy cut, but walking maybe a little gingerly behind home plate. Quickly back into the box, and looks like he is set to go again. Murphy set in his own right. His delivery up and on the outside part of the plate. Vaccaro fighting it off. Count remains 0-2.
Showing the fight. Down to their last strike. Fouling stuff off, staying alive as long as he can.
Murphy trying to finish it up right here. Breaking ball will do the job. Murphy pulls the string for strike number 3. Induces this nice swing and miss from Vaccaro. Great spot that forces him to swing the bat and forces the Pirates out of the dugout. They will celebrate a 12-4 victory here in San Antonio.
Yeah, just a great win overall. Ends a 5-game losing streak, puts 12 runs on the board, the most they've scored all season. Overall, just a great win for Southwestern, ending the skid, getting the ship righted.
There were a lot of substitutions made in this one for both of these squads, but I think a big part of this victory for Southwestern, those 3 through 6 hitters, just about everyone walked away with at least 1 hit. Multiple players had multiple hits. Big shout out to Maxwell Mims. 6 at-bats today. He hit 3 times. He had a double. He had a moonshot of a home run and propelled this Southwestern squad to victory here in San Antonio. We've talked about it extensively. Each of these squads, still a lot of baseball to be played this week. They'll get going tomorrow against each other up in Georgetown. But for now, we're going to take our leave on Tiger Network. My name has been Luke Terry, joined by Cole Isaacson on the call tonight. Give a big shout out to everyone working here in San Antonio on a Monday evening, making this production possible. Thank you to everyone who joined us here this evening. We wish you a wonderful rest of your Monday night, and we hope that you're going to join us again soon. Thanks and good night.